is derived from the leaves of the coca plant. When cocaine enters the body, it has a strong effect on body functions by acting as an irritant on the brain. Large overdose of cocaine causes convulsions, then death. Cocaine causes unusual and often unpredictable feelings and actions. In his ignorance, Marty took that dare, little knowing the eventual horror that lay in the deadly white powder.
Marty, have you seen the painting shears I bought last week? Can't seem to find them anywhere. Marty, you don't seem right. I'm worried about you. There's something wrong. I'm going to take you down to Dr. Reaper's this afternoon for a checkup.
No, I'm all right.
As his body gradually built up a tolerance, he needed more and more of the drug. Cocaine causes unusual and often unpredictable.
Oh man, it's really glitchy. I don't know what's going on. This is a great. You know what? This makes me realize it's really great that I have listeners. So if you could comment right now, I know that song, my music there was very glitchy. So if it's possible, listeners, hello, you're listening to K.I.S.S Recovery 101. I see my Wi-Fi bars here are very low. So would you just let me know if I'm coming in clear or if I'm cutting in and out? I might have to actually restart this, which would not be fun, but it can happen. Okay, anyway, welcome to K.I.S.S Recovery 101. Bridge Sky here. I'll be your host tonight. Ooh, I'm going to take down that. Don't need to see that anymore. I am so excited. I have a guest here tonight. We're going to talk about mostly positive things. And if you read the post, you might be a little apprehensive. Might sound a little morbid. But honestly, I actually did this myself in treatment. And it was like an awakening. It was like this self-realization and awareness that really made me appreciate 24 hours every day more. And also look inside myself and be, where I sit today, be more of that person that, is my intention and purpose to be. So if you didn't get a chance to read the post, it said, have you written your eulogy? Write your eulogy. To Morbid, are you who you want to be presently? Do you believe people really understand and know your intentions? Writing your own eulogy gives you the chance to carry on your legacy, full control of an important part of saying goodbye, even in death. It also gives you a chance to find awareness within. Who are you? And do you live life with purpose? Okay, so we're going to talk about that, but more importantly, we're going to talk to our guests. I'm going to let you introduce yourself if you don't mind. And again, listeners, feel free to comment. That's the point of the live show. I want you to ask questions. Give me your viewpoints. Give me your insights. It really makes it really fun. So, yes, welcome. Thanks for saying yes and being here tonight.
Thanks, Bridge. I'm Lori Lochner, and I am in recovery. I'm honored to be here tonight and talk to Bridge about service work and how we met and whatever you bring up.
See, you're my kind of person, go with the flow, And I'd love to talk about how we first met, but shout out, I see Brett. Hey, Brett. I just did Recovery Revolution on YouTube. They have a fantastic podcast video we're just audio here. But it was wonderful. It's wonderful because there's several people on that, and it's great to get all the different viewpoints and insights on anything that they talk about. And they're way more high tech than I am. I just say it's pretty fancy. It made me feel like I should up my game here. Okay, so yes, we met. Started coming to one of my support groups, actually very in the very beginning of it, and you stood out to me right away because I just immediately felt connected with you because when you were sharing or talking, it was like you were speaking my language. I feel like, I mean, all walks of life come in, but like you are able to whole, the bigger, anyone can talk about anything, and you're really a good listener. You can really read the room, and I feel like your share, though it should be, for you, but it seems like anything you say can be tied into somebody else who might be struggling, somebody else who's looking for some kind of, there's that saying, somebody said something in the room and it, that's what I need to hear. I feel like you're that person that says the thing in the room that they needed to hear. And definitely when I first met you, I was like, oh, yes, she said that. Nailed it. Oh, yes, she said that. Nailed it. I don't have to say those things. Fantastic. But I think our group is great. It's one of the groups that I go to is a women's group, and it's titled Bad Moms, which is more badass moms, but it's not just moms. It's aunts, it's grandmoms, it's anyone who's had or have little people in their life, and it's a safe place to share, for me anyway, that I don't ever feel comfortable sharing outside of that, unless you've been a parent, I would say, and had struggles as a parent. That's where I beat myself up the worst. And I have to talk about that. And I think that was a big part of why I struggled for so long, is I kept all that guilt and shame inside. And now I tell it myself all the time, because I still have the bad mom moments. I still have the guilt, but at least I have you ladies to talk about it. So what brought you, what would you say? And then we'll talk about how you brought me to another group, but yeah, what brought you to our group, and like, where do you think you shine in the world of recovery? Where do you find that is like a good niche for you?
Well, thanks, Bridge. That was a lot of nice things to say about me. I don't know if I shine or not.
You do.
But I specifically remember the first night I met you. I got online, and I was the only one that was attending, and you were talking about how you were a chronic relapser, and I was a chronic relapser, and you made it. And I'm like, wow, well, if she can do it, I think I can do it. And that gave me hope. And just started to come more. We had so much in common, being moms and having the relapse part of our story. And that gave me hope. And you were very vulnerable and real when you shared. And I think that that's so important. I grew up as a musician and having a smile on my face at all times. And that's hard for me to get real in recovery. But I think that's when I grow the most, and when I help people the most is when I become vulnerable and real. And I just kept going back, and it became one of my home groups, and did some service work for the Bad Moms group. And then I read a poem, and it was written by Dr. Bob, and it was I stand at the door, and I don't go too far in, and I don't go too far out. And I feel like I was almost getting too far in and not available for the newcomer anymore. And when my program thrives is when I'm working with the newcomer. So then I step back, and now I just go to the meetings when I can. I mean, my schedule has some conflicts in it too, but I just go to be there for that newcomer. And that reminds me, I don't want to go back. I want to stay where I'm at and grow. If I don't grow, I'm dying. And I truly believe that. Also, I think my recovery is you owe. And AA saved my life. I would be dead or in jail, I have no doubt. So it truly saved my life, and now I owe that for the rest of my life to help somebody else. So
Yes. Oh my gosh, you just said so much. My squirrel brain was like, oh, I got to talk about this. Oh, I got to talk about that. 100%. Actually, I think too, within that group, also, it's been nice to just attend the meetings and raise my hand and just, it absorb the meeting and the room and the ladies, and just be able to have more time to help out. not just in such a more leadership role. However, you say what you just said, but you stepped up to like one of the higher leadership roles. But I think you have it's great because you've stepped up, but you also have a good group of us. Well, I won't say us. I didn't make no commitments, but I did on the side. But a lot of support already going into it, and I think you'll have a good team behind you, and already been doing that. But I think you're like the perfect person. So, do you want to? I don't want to, share your story. Do you want to share what that looks like and why you made that decision, and anything on that?
Sure, thank you. So for the last 3.5 years, no, I'm sorry, 2.5 years, I've served as District 13 co-chair CPC with a really good friend of mine, Elizabeth. She does an amazing job. We work so well together, but CPC is the cooperation with the professional community. So what we do is let professionals know that Alcoholics Anonymous is there for their clients or patients. And we've put on several workshops. I actually have a speaking engagement at a middle school in Coon Rapids in December here. So part of their addiction curriculum, I'm like, hey, how about instead of focusing on what's wrong, let's focus on a solution, and that would be Alcoholics Anonymous. So I'm going in to talk to 8th graders about AA and Alateen. So we've done a lot of work there, but I was approached to run as the district chair, district committee chair for Anoka County. We're District 13, which is Anoka County. So I'll be taking the DCM role in January. Thank you. So I'm super excited about that. I've learned that there's 175 meetings in Anoka County.
Wow.
And on average, we have about a dozen people attending district meetings. So to me, that is not enough. And one of my goals is to visit each meeting, go to a new meeting every week, and just let them know about service work. I couldn't stay sober till I started doing service work, getting out of myself, helping other people. That's where I've really shined, and I love it. I love helping other people. I'm a professional by trade, too, so I really love the CPC work. I would love to do more with that, but now I'm just going to take on a different role and be there for other people, letting them know that service work really does help. And again, you know you owe, and let's all help. So, yeah.
Absolutely. Well, and thanks to you, like you brought me in on that side of things too, because service can look like all kinds of things, right? It could just be simply making coffee. Everybody needs coffee. It could be staying up and staying after and working with an individual one-on-one. It can be, but for my brain and myself, when I lost my job, I was really like, I needed some more service than just what I was doing. And so you actually asked me to be that person, also the district manager at the time. And I ended up taking a role as well for 2 years, and it was great to really understand. So if you're more of a person, I say that is more independently able to be motivated, and there's all different roles, so whatever suits you. But I took on literature, which I like because I like to research anything before I go full force. And so it was great because also I found with my role, I could fill in all the other committees that help out there too in some way or another. But I found that kind of service and seeing that other side, that direct kind of connection, that how that works, the pyramid to New York and all that the power, lies within the groups. And, I didn't understand all of that. And so now that I do, it makes me more confident, when I speak, and also helps me stay neutral and in the middle, like a mediator, rather than, I know sometimes there's conflicts with, what is it, egos, personalities. So, yeah, but, at the end of the day, of course, yes, I felt like once, I think I didn't do service like that for so long because I didn't feel like I was worthy, And so I feel like when I finally started to love myself, thanks to another woman and all the women in our group, it just grew from there, and to have that confidence and to start taking smaller roles, and just leading a topic meeting and then actually helping facilitate a meeting weekly, that accountability. But more importantly for me, it was like these people, think I'm responsible, and that made me feel good. And they believe in me. And so I'm going to give them a reason to do that. And so it just kind of set on fire from there because before I knew it, I really needed that, at least for my first year or two. And, but now it's like, I found this podcast, I'm doing a radio show, I got a lot of other things going on. It's not that I'm stepping away from that specific role, but I'm definitely, well, speaking of which, it's November. I really got a chance to sit back and look at my life and making sure, my time now is so limited, where I can be the most useful, but also like where I really want to be, making sure that time it's quality, time, especially with my kids, especially with, things that I enjoy, filling my own cup. So, any final things you want to say? I do have a the shortest clip I've ever played of more onto service and stuff. And also we're going to talk about what the post is talking about, right? Eulogy.
Well, actually, I was just thinking about when you were talking, when I first came into AA, someone said, lead the meeting, right? So I was very new in sobriety and lead the meeting. So I became the squad leader for a while and for a long time, almost a year. And there is a reason we rotate, right? Because our egos get in the way, especially me. So I remember when I stepped down and someone else took over and I'm like, well, they're not running the meeting right. But it's such a good check for me too, because then I learned humility and I learned that things are going to go on after me. I'm a part of a whole. I mean, these traditions are just so important. I try to live my life by the traditions as well. And we're all just in this together, really walking hand in hand. And without the traditions, there wouldn't be the individual. I really believe that. So we're all here to work together, whether I'm a GSR or a DCM or whatever I hold. We're here working together. You did an outstanding job with the literature. There was stuff so old. I know you went through everything and read everything and reported back, which was great, and came up with a manual. And we were completely stocked every time we had an event. There was literature there, which is great. If you want to see something done in your district, you need to show up at these district meetings. We had gratitude night, and I made a motion to move it to an Alano club, because that's where we see the least participation in district is from Alano clubs, and that's where most of the meetings are held, right? And people complained about that. Well, show up at the meeting then. You have to have your voice heard if you want to change. So show up, and that's what I hope to do in the next couple of years, is just bring awareness and have people show up.
Yes. Well, I know for a fact, you've been posting a lot and putting a lot out. So I've been getting questions too, more just, I think for me, for so long, I didn't even know what it was, So yeah, just getting that knowledge helps a lot. And thank you. And honestly, it was because of you I got to have that opportunity. And I'm excited. I was just so happy with it. As soon as you was like, okay, I'm going to keep on this train. Keep me along. Okay, so this, if you want to, usually I'm like, so go ahead and listen. You could want to listen to the full video or the full clip on YouTube. Well, I'm going to play it for you now because it's only not even 2 minutes. Okay, so it is if you want to check out, I will post the link. Ben Lionel Scott posted this inspirational video, and it's called Make an Impact. Okay, here we go.
When we're laying on our deathbed, you're not going to worry about how much money you had, how much power you had, how much prestige. You're going to see that was all game, that was all an illusion. The only thing's going to matter is the impact you had on other people's lives.
We are all on a separate journey. But the beautiful thing about our life here on this earth is at my funeral, they ain't gonna talk about my success. They're gonna talk about who Nick was and how Nick lived and how Nick loved and encouraged.
Success is incredibly important, but even more important than success, it's having an impact. It's knowing you haven't walked the planet in vain. It's knowing that because you've been here, You've blessed lives. You've developed people. And you have made the world a better place.
The effect you have on others is the most valuable currency there is. Everything you gain in life will rot and fall apart, and all that will be left of you is what was in your heart.
Life is a mirror. And life gives us not what we want. Life gives us who we are. When you were born, you cried while the world rejoiced. Live your life in such a way that when you die, the world cries while you rejoice.
Ooh, that last sentence is powerful. Okay, I'm going to let you give your take on anything that was just said there.
Well, this is the second time I'm listening to it. You sent it to me a little earlier tonight, but I have to share. This is, to me, this is the miracle of these programs and it being in recovery. So when I was at my lowest, I reached out to a former boss of mine. His son died of a heroin overdose, and his name was Nick. And this video talks about Nick, and that really resonated with me because my old boss saved my life. He showed up at my lowest point and said, I could not save Nick, but I'm going to save you. And he helped me get into treatment. And I said I would never tell my story without remembering him. So he was 28 years old. And when I heard that, it really spoke to me. So, and the other thing I thought of is recovery has let me know who I am. I did not know who I was before this. I've been able to discover who I am, and that I truly believe my purpose in life is to serve others, to serve God and to serve others, and to help them however that may look. So I mentioned a little bit earlier that I'm a musician. Just this past weekend, I played for the Homestead in Anoka. It's the senior residence.
Nice.
I volunteer to play taps at funerals when there's not a Marine to do or a vet to do it. And there's things like that outside of my program that I do because it makes me feel good and to give to others, right? My sponsor always told me, have you called 3 other people today and asked how they're doing? Connections are the key. Reach out, talk to someone else. You can be their lifeline. And I mean, honestly, when I logged on to that Bad Moms group, you were my lifeline that night, and you gave me so much hope, and you impacted me, and I hope to do the same for someone else. Like, that's what this is about. This is what recovery is about, is helping each other. And I think that's what we're going to leave when we're gone. I went to a retreat a few weeks ago, and I heard an analogy of when Jesus was walking with 100 sheep and one strayed away, that one was the chosen one. And it correlated to us being in recovery, addicts getting recovery, alcoholics getting recovery. We are the chosen ones. We can carry this message to someone else. We can help someone else. I do believe that we were chosen to do that. I used to be ashamed that I was an alcoholic, that I was an addict. I didn't want people to know. Now I'll tell anybody who walks up to me, like, you know, and when I do, it's amazing the responses. I mean, I don't openly share it, but if someone comments and says something, then I will go with it. And I'll help other people. It's so amazing. I love, love, love recovery, love helping other people. You watch broken women walking into the meeting that you started, and in a few months, they're laughing and they're going out and doing fellowship, and then they're helping other people, and it just keeps growing and growing, and it's just such a beautiful thing.
Oh my gosh. And you, I mean, especially have touched me, and definitely, you know, I heard you share your story at SNL,
Oh, that's right.
Yes, tears. And, but it gave me inspiration too, to be more out and, not just share my story in smaller groups. And I think that, you know, one of my favorite sayings is, it's not what you say to people, it's how you, it's not what you said that people remember, it's how you make them feel in any conversation. And just being heard is a big part, I think, for me. I'll just speak for me. Not feeling heard. A lot of times people didn't even want to give me that time. But even when I would try to even explain, which I didn't know much about, why I was the way I was and what I was going through, not being heard or understood or even want someone to care. And so that's what I found in those rooms, and especially with women who just loved me unconditionally in my mind for no reason. But what I liked, what I liked about that clip, and it made me think about when so I've been to a few treatments, and that I remember being very angry, and I'm like, this is silly. But when I really started to sit down and write it out, I'm like, at that time, sadly, I didn't have anyone in my life. I had isolated so much, and I had been in denial so much that because I'm a good mom, I'm making sure my kids get to school, and we do story time, and my focus was just our home unit. So when that was ripped away from me, I realized, wow, I don't have connections with anyone by my own choice. It's not that people just didn't care about me, but I wasn't even making that point to connect with anybody else. And so when I first wrote it, I'm like, I don't think anyone will even come. And then, but more deeply, it made me think about what I want people, even if we haven't connected in years, I wanted to be understood. So if that makes sense. And I did. Those freaking alarms go off always at the worst times. You share something deep, and then the disco alarm goes off. So our first alarm. Oh, okay. So we need to interact. Oh, Josh Sanders, he's shared. Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. I already had to block some trolls. Lori, yes.
Oh, no.
This is scary, but hopefully they're off the feed. Ricky Lyle says, we are your pictures. We were pictures. Oh, yes. Okay, so I'm going to also post this link. So there's this really cool article website that you can go to that will break it down. Like I did it in treatment, so I have people right there. But if you really want to sit down and you're struggling to even where to start, this great website you can go to will take you step by step what to even start thinking about what you would want to say. But I did want to read a little bit from that I pulled from. It said, by writing your own eulogy, you can share your true love with those who mattered most. We never know when our time will come, but by writing our own eulogy, you'll know that the message will be delivered to those you leave behind. The purpose is to recall the defining qualities and highlights of life lived in a way that benefits the audience, particularly the family, those families, a general term there. It should capture the essence of your life lived. And so up to this point, I actually have to update mine. It's so funny. I didn't have enough time to do it, so I'm not going to share it. But I could definitely see where I was at then. And thankful I'll be having, going up 3 years next month, which is crazy to think about. Yes, last year really flew by. But it really needs to be updated because now I do have so many more people that I, would want to make sure. Well, I think that's why I love the 24 hours, one day at a time, because really I make a point every day to keep those connections. Even, like you said, even if it's just a little phone call, a little text, let them know that I'm thinking about them, I care about them. But, not trying hard, definitely being, authentic, but making a point to other people. So I do believe that service is my purpose too. And I feel like, I loved that. The sheep going out. I was that black sheep going off the path, but it was meant to happen. So as the other black sheeps of the world went off the path, like I already been on that path. I'm like, here, come this way. I'll back up this way. We could get back on the right path, but just follow me. And I was able to. It was hard, and I went through some bad ditches and some bad lessons, but it gave me purpose to. It was always pouring me. Why did this keep happening? Why is this happening to me? Whatever. I deserve it. I punish myself. And I think when I realized my story, my experiences was actually empowering and gave strength to other people, then I'm like, oh, I get it. Okay, so my lived experience actually has value. And that's when I stopped feeling guilty or ashamed and became really loud and proud about my recovery, but it was a very long process. Sorry. So, like, I gotta say, like, I'm surprised we didn't meet sooner, because you are definitely a person that walks around and you got that thing that I want. Like, I know we have a lot in common, but you have that light and that wisdom, and you never surprise me. You have the pearls that you share in the meetings. Like, ooh, I didn't even think of that. That's beautiful. And the fact that we stay active in the recovery communities, I think that's important too. Change, you got to embrace change. It's going to happen anyway, but to be able to stay along with the world today, like what worked for me 3 years ago, I don't think I would have survived today with what's out there now. So that's why I stay current and authentic and with folks today, so I can stay empathetic, and remember that fentanyl wasn't around then, at least in my world. Now I know I wouldn't be alive here today. So, Eulogy. Have you ever written a eulogy or thought about it?
I have not.
Okay. It's a little scary, isn't it?
It is very scary. Yeah. That's, I was always afraid to die. For those of you who don't know me, I had twins at 22 and a half weeks who died in my arms. And after that, I wasn't afraid to die anymore. And I don't know why I brought that up right now, but other than the fact that going on this journey has been a spiritual awakening for me. I always believed in a God, a loving God, so I didn't have an issue with that, but I couldn't describe that loving God to you. Mm-hmm. In treatment, they had me draw a picture of what my God is. Mm-hmm. And so now I have something to focus on when I am praying. And it's a process. This growth is all a process. Is that another one?
Yep.
Okay, now what?
Oh, well, I was just going to say, you know what else is scary, Lori? This is trying to be funny here. A hot seat.
Oh, no, are we there already?
That's really scary. Okay, but no, I'm sorry. That was terrible. I told you the alarms come in at the terrible times. But
it actually was perfect because I didn't want to talk about my eulogy anyway.
Yeah. I think we give them enough to bite on.
It's an honesty program, right?
Okay, so I love that you shared that. I feel like people in recovery, so I'm really into like other spiritual experiences now and tapping into spirit guides and the universe, and I find that it's all correlated. It really is. And but what they talk about, so I don't know if you've heard about it, but there's 3D people living and then there's 5D people living, which, have you seen The Matrix?
No.
Oh, you haven't seen The Matrix? Okay, never mind. I can't use that example. So like 3D living people, and I would classify you, anybody in recovery, that as a 3D but it's more like a person who takes life as it is, and you just do your things, and you don't think about anything beyond what you can see, touch, smell, and feel, right? And so 5D level people living are referred to as like, there's more out there that can be explained. You also can focus on building that awareness. And what I love that they talk about, I watch a lot of YouTube videos and read books, but I think it correlates with people in recovery. And they don't talk about people in recovery, but it takes somebody to have like a near-death experience or what they call a spiritual awakening. And I feel like most of us in recovery have had that. I've had several like experiences. But we, no matter what, already are awakened on this other level. I myself almost died, right? And even coming out of that, I still didn't have a reason to live yet right away. So I had accepted death. I was ready to die. I didn't even care at that time. It was really bad. But once I got that awareness and awakening, it's like, I feel like any conversation I have with someone in recovery is just that deeper level. Like we've already been to the depths of hell. So we just I feel like I openly open my heart to, someone, especially if they're like, I'm in recovery. I'm like, oh, cool. Okay, we can just go right to the good stuff. But I feel like life is so short, and it is important to. Oh, that leads me right into the hot seat questions, Lori. Okay, here we go. So, hot seat. Oh, Bahada's on. Shout out to the Rise Up Hour. He says, yes, hope. Thank you for being you, Lori. Oh, I love that. Okay, so this segment's called the hot seat. So if your first time listening, my guest here gets, if you heard the fire sound, it's meant to sound hot. So there's 3 hotter, heavier questions that you wouldn't just ask somebody over coffee, but they're meant to be deeper questions so that, not to make you feel uncomfortable, Lori, and only share and answer how you feel comfortable, but they're meant to build that connection out to anybody listening. And of course, everyone has the opportunity to ask questions or answer the questions themselves. Okay, you ready?
I'm ready.
All right, question number 1, Lori. What's something new in your recovery or on your recovery path that you've learned about yourself recently? It's a pretty good question, right?
That's a really good question. So my mind goes to, I think I relearned something. So when I first entered into recovery and I did my 5th step, I told my sponsor that I was a people pleaser. And she said, no, you are a manipulator. And that was really hard for me to hear.
Wow.
But was I doing things for other people because I wanted the recognition? Or was I genuinely doing them to do them, right? And so that came up again recently. I had some surgery, and like my husband or people close to me didn't react the way I wanted them to.
Yeah.
So it was a good eye-opening experience for me to remember that I am to have no expectations whenever I do anything, and to just be genuine, right? I heard someone say the most important thing I can do is show up authentically, and that's what I want. So I want my actions to be congruent with my morals, and in order to do that, I have to be authentic at all times. So I keep striving towards that.
That's beautiful. I didn't even know you had surgery. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
You haven't been to our group for a while. I would have brought you soup or rice or something. I don't know. But I get that. And like that's where I like to remember somebody in a meeting one time said, premeditated expectations. That's what equals resentment. And at first I'm like, but I don't premeditate, da da da. But then when I realized, yeah, my kids, I do all these things for them, my teenager, especially recently. And I'm simply asking him to take out the garbage or watch his little brothers for a minute. He's giving me gruff. Okay, I had to pause, but it took me a minute to do that. I said, did I just make you your favorite meal last night? Didn't I just go out of my way to go to your favorite grocery store to find your favorite snacks? Watch your brothers! And then I realized, okay, just go out of the house, take a minute, and bring it back. But yes, okay, wonderful answer. Question number 2, Lori. What advice do you give someone that you're mentoring or guiding that keeps what would you give? Okay, what advice do you give to someone that you're working with or mentoring that keeps struggling or reusing or, like a chronic relapser like we were?
Well, what was told to me, and that is there's something that we didn't learn yet, or there's something that needs to change. I have one right now that is struggling, and she's told me that she told her therapist about how wonderful I am because I keep welcoming her back. And I had a sponsor drop me because I relapsed at one point.
Same.
And that was awful. And my sponsor now has told me we don't shoot our wounded. And I continue to carry that message. And I just think none of us are perfect. I mean, we all have defects that we're working on, and let's figure out why this keeps happening, and let's walk through it together, figure it out. And so with this one, we started checking in every day, where we just used to check in once. We're just trying to figure out, okay, what do you need? What can I do to help you? And so there's just something that she hasn't learned yet, but she will. So
we're trying to keep her from learning it the hard way, like we
Right.
already did.
Yes.
But yes, nobody could answer those questions until I could, and I know that that's what I loved. That's what I love about AA and the fellowship is that through the therapy and through all the treatments, like it was my family. Like I knew they would never turn me away. I knew no matter how much I messed up, I always had a home, which sometimes I didn't have a home for a while there, Lori. But yes, I agree. Nothing changes if nothing changes. So really, a lot of times back in my youth, I couldn't see what had happened. I've changed these things, but luckily for me, I needed therapy along with the 12 steps. So DBT helped me a lot. But I remember my therapist, we actually drew it out like she did. So she wrote out all the things that just led up to that point, which we kept going and we kept going. I'm like, this is silly. This is not going to point out, like, that's just my normal day or week or whatever. However, it turned into this big cyclone. And to see this big, crazy chart, which now I refer to and told her, oh, that's the downward spiral everyone talks about. So yes, one thing could set that off. And because I wasn't aware of it, I wasn't talking about it, sharing about it, it just started to go to one thing to the next, to the next. And that's why I think sharing, venting, talking to people you share, like trust and care and love about you helps a lot, Okay, wonderful. Great answer. Last question. I usually try to make those ones lighter, so I don't remember. What did I rate? Okay. Question number 3. You ready? The eulogy, huh? Uh-huh. If you died tomorrow, okay, what's something you keep putting off you want to say to someone else, to somebody? So what's something right now, if you died tomorrow and you did not get that chance tonight to say what you needed to say, does anything pop in your head right away? See, someone popped in my head right away when I wrote this question. Like, shoot, if I died tomorrow, I never had that opportunity to say or something with somebody. Is there anything if you died tomorrow that you're like, darn it, I didn't get that last delicious Mexican meal or whatever? It could be anything, actually. It doesn't have to be a person.
No, I really don't. I don't have that. I've been in recovery 6 years now. I've been clean and sober 2.5 years this week. Yeah, thank you. But I've worked so many 4 steps, and there's amends that I still need to make, but living amends is so important too. And I do my 10th step. I've been trying to really do my 10th step every day, so those things don't build up, and I don't have to carry them on. So yeah, I'm sorry, I don't
That's
have.
a beautiful answer.
Yeah, but there is something I wanted to talk about. Can I do
Yes,
that?
absolutely.
Okay.
We're done with the hot seat
Okay.
business.
So what I was thinking when you said when you can go into the fellowship and talk and trust and everything, and I'm going to go back to the traditions, and one of the traditions is, now I blank out on it, personality. It's not personality. It's principles before personalities, right? And that's the beautiful thing. Like, I don't understand this where people think if we don't agree on everything, we can't be friends. And I have seen such a great demonstration in the fellowship of AA that we can disagree, but we can still be friends, and that's such a beautiful thing because we all have our own opinions and personalities. And I have a 17-year-old that if I tell him the sky is blue, he's going to argue with me that it is, purple.
Yep.
It and I don't get anywhere.
Until someone else says it's blue.
Right, then maybe.
it is
but
blue.
yeah.
Not you, Mom.
Oh, right. And but when we're in this fellowship, it'd be, oh, well, I could maybe see your point, but I'm still going to believe that it's blue. But whatever, that's just an example, but that's what I love about this program, and that's what I try to share. I guess if I had to write a eulogy, and that's what I would want. I would want people to know that even if we disagree, we can still be friends. I can still love you and do whatever I can to help you, and vice versa, because I respect you.
Yes. Well, that's what's so great about services. They are really good on that. Like, I loved, everybody gets an opportunity to share their viewpoint on it, and it's really literally timed to where you get cut the fuck off. It's great. I like it, though, because people can go on and on and on, but nope, you get 2 minutes, and they mean it. Boop, next person, because there's so many different viewpoints, but on one simple, whatever concept. But I think those traditions and those, principles, if they didn't exist, it would not be around as long as it is, for sure. And that also makes me think of, what was I got? It was something along those lines. Oh, I think it is so important too. It is important to rotate the roles. One, it's you learn. You're not gonna learn if you're just doing the same way, the same thing. Two, it keeps it fresh for everybody else. And three, for me, I know. And I remember it was hard, like stepping into that role initially, but once I learned and grew and got what I needed from that role, like, of course I want to give that to somebody else. Like, you can't keep what you have unless you give it away. Yes. And I feel like, especially with what I talk about or what I learn, like, I have to talk about it or I'll forget. But then what's the point if I'm not going to share it with everybody, right? And also to open my mind to get their take on it. Because literally there's a Tuesday night book meeting, and they literally read right straight through the book. And every time we go through it, and they'll break it, like we might spend a whole hour on one paragraph because it's great because we just pause after each paragraph, but like everyone shares their viewpoint on that story or that paragraph or what it is about those sentences or those words. And I'm like, holy crap, I could see that in a new light or a different way. So, okay. All right, listeners, what time are we at? We're doing great. We're beating the alarms. Okay. Well, we did this time, and I beat the hot seat alarm. All right, so it is 8:44, which means we got 15 minutes, which means we come to the last segment of the show, Lori, which is my absolute favorite. And it is called Live Facebook Memes. Okay, and I think you said you did get a chance to hear the show, but you missed the last 10 minutes. You missed the last best parts. And now you're my victim. No, I'm just kidding. But it is, what happens is, one of my just things to wind out at night is I'll look at social media and just kind of skim through. But I'm a meme fanatic. And so they're just so clever. Like most of you really have to think about how to make it that funny. It's just a little square. So I screenshot my favorite ones just in the moments. And now it's so nice because I get to share them with you today. Before I would just try to share them at whatever time I was doing that. Okay. So like Facebook, though, that's why it has the catchy Live Facebook Memes titles. Like Facebook, I'm going to flash them to you and our listeners now. You're going to describe them, and, it's your first take. Maybe you've seen a couple of them. It's only just this last week, so it's a good variety, let me tell you. I got to preview them. But like Facebook, you're free to comment if it's laugh out loud, you liked it, you didn't like it, whatever. But it's going to be live, and I think that's the best part. So, okay, are you ready, Lori?
I'm ready.
Oh, yeah, there's sound effects. I need an assistant. I have my assistant, Sally, here, but she just sticks to the speaker, so she doesn't do anything else for me. But I still need her, and I had to do the show twice now, alone in the studio. That was a little... Well, I thought it was going to be bad, but it was really good because my listeners were actually more interactive, so I didn't feel so alone and isolated. Uh-oh, it's going to do the weird... So now this free app I have decided is playing freaking ads. So I have to wait 5, 4, 3 to skip. Okay, now we're going to get the awesome. I have to pay for the sound effects. But I don't want to do any other research. Okay, my daughter, Juliet, found these for me. It's meme time. It's a nostalgic sound for me. But it's also, it can get weird in here. It can get mysterious. It can be a little scary. But it's meant to be in good nature. Okay, Laura, you ready?
I'm
so
ready.
You're going to look right here. And if you can, try to describe... Oh, some of them are just words. So here we go. Listeners, I won't be able to see your comments, but continue to comment because after I will get to go back and take a look at if you have any input that you want to share. Okay, here we go. They're in order. Meme number 1. What does that say?
You don't have to be crazy to hang out with me. I'll train you.
Ding! What do you think of that one?
I love it.
Yeah. Okay, it speaks for itself.
Yes.
Spoken art. Okay, here we go. Describe the picture.
Okay, it's a little puppy. Looks like with a bow tie, top hat, and it's not a cane. What it is like?
Oh yeah, he does have like a little.
Yeah, like he's
dancing
like tap dancing almost. It says me adding nevertheless in my essay for a little razzle dazzle.
A little razzle dazzle.
That
You
is
like that?
so cute. Yes.
Nevertheless, it just makes it sound so much more sophisticated.
Yes.
Actually, there's been times when I've recorded myself and I'm like, wow, I said that word, or I catch myself off guard. Like, I know I'm getting it from other folks to rub it off on me, but I'm like, wow, I sounded intelligent there. Okay, meme number 3.
We can't really love until we have boundaries. Otherwise, we love out of compliance or guilt. Wow,
this
that's
is
really
deeper.
good. Yes. Yes. So lately, I've been struggling with boundaries with my 17-year-old, and my sponsor had me make a list of boundaries, and I did. And then I wrote down what I will do when he crosses those boundaries. And it's definitely good practice to write it down and rehearse those, but in the moment, they go right out the window sometimes, and that happened to me this last week. But lots of opportunity for growth for me. And boundaries, yeah, that's an ongoing process for sure.
Well, okay, that's interesting you say that. So my 17-year-old, I won't say his Dave, but anybody who knows me knows, he's such a great kid. Okay, he's not a kid. He's actually a young man. He's very intelligent, right? He's been struggling. I've been setting like boundaries as well. Like, well, if if this is what you're gonna do, then this is what I'm gonna do. I'm only gonna be, but I realize like I can't physically make him do things. Okay, not in this day and age. Not that I would be that way anyway. But we really went to court virtually, Lori. So it was fantastic because even though I had those boundaries and I stuck to my boundaries, it was nice to be at court. By the way, not for anything extreme, but just it was actually a good warning for him. Like, it's serious now. But other people keeping him accountable because I was doing my best, but I had to stick because the boundaries are just for me, right?
Right.
But I'm not intimidating enough. So even though he got, internet access cut off and other things like restricted per se, like I didn't buy all the extra snacks or whatever to go to school. I shouldn't have to do those things. But yeah, somebody else stepped in and said, okay, so this is the law. And so it was kind of, at first I felt like I'm such a bad mom. Like, he's already going to court. But then I realized I'm doing the best that I can. And I've been about it a couple times these past few weeks, let me tell you. But he'll learn. He will learn, whether it's my boundaries or the court system's boundaries. Okay. Meme number 4.
I always put 2 alarms, one for the person I want to be and one for the person I am.
Yes! This is so true.
This is totally true. I have several alarms.
Do you?
Yes.
Okay, good. You're not just up at the
Oh,
first
no.
alarm?
It takes me a few to get up, and then I have alarms throughout the day to remind myself to recenter and be the person I want to be.
That's so great. It's so true. And especially if I've had like some new practice I'm into, like a tea drinking I've been into, like taking that. It's so wonderful. However, so I set the alarm earlier because I want to make that time. I'm sorry. Like the program is like, you should start your day with these intentions. That's a lot easier said than done. When you have 5 kids, I have to go to school and make breakfast and all that. Like it doesn't matter. It doesn't always happen that way, but the intention's there and I can always do it. But yes, I always set 6:30. Okay, then I'm up before everybody. I get me time. Then I'll start the breakfast and all this. Never happens. Snooze. I'll get there. I've done it a couple times. Okay, next meme.
I just saved that. Walls keep everybody out. Boundaries teach people where the door is. Love it. I did. I just screenshot that to my phone this
That's
week.
great. Isn't
Yes.
that a great one?
Yes, for sure. I was just thinking about this, and the boundaries thing came up with my son, and someone told me a long time ago, we teach people how to treat us. And I have nobody to blame for, except myself when it comes to these things. I have to stand up for what I believe in, and yeah, it's
And
tough.
tying that into recovery, like that's all I ever did was put walls up around everybody, away from everybody. And recovery gave me this opportunity I didn't even know what boundaries was 2 years ago, right? So instead of those walls, they want to come back up. Like I know really quickly how to stack those bricks again. Resentments, all kinds of reasons. But luckily, now that I've learned what boundaries are and they're healthy and they're good, I think that's where I've been able to make that full, like, just my brain has completely changed. Like, I'm totally a different person. It's weird to say that, but it's true. I can look at old pictures of myself and it brings me back and it helps me remember where I came from. But I don't even remember that girl anymore, that poor lost, broken girl. But yes, walls, I'd rather do the boundaries.
For sure.
Okay. Number 5.
It is November. Don't ask me for shit.
Isn't that like a cute picture too? Describe the picture.
Yeah, the picture is, it's so cute. It's a little bird and a wreath and a beautiful picture with a heart in it and some little wood. And
You think it's going to be nice?
yeah, you think it's going to be just very welcoming. And it is no-Vember. Don't ask me for shit.
Yes. I love it. And I just wanted to really highlight because November's coming to an end here, and it's been great. I've been practicing it a lot more, and it's hard because I say I'm a retired people pleaser, because but my heart still wants to give back always. It's so easy, so I just have to. I never this month literally I've said yes to nothing. I commit to nothing. I process it first. And actually, usually I process it with somebody else. Like, hey, I always have ideas. Hey, I want to do this thing. Just wait a second. Let's look at your week. Can you really fit that in and not, empty your cup? Okay, we're almost there. 3 more.
Fear can keep us up all night long, but faith makes one fine pillow.
Do you like it?
I do. It's a fortune cookie saying. Yes, I do. My mom is having cataract surgery. She had it 2 weeks ago, and then she has it again this Tuesday. So I took her to the first one, taking her to the second one.
Okay.
That's why I'm not going to the meeting Monday nights because I'm down in New Orleans. But anyway, and she teases me that my blood pressure is never high, and hers is always high. And then she's like, "Well, don't you worry about all this stuff?" I'm like, "No. Since I've entered recovery, I really do not worry about anything. I live in today." And it's just a byproduct of practicing these principles.
In all our affairs.
In
not
all
just
our
in
affairs,
The rooms.
correct.
Yes. Okay, side note. This is my fortune cookie from 3 years ago.
No way.
I've been trying to declutter my tech, my freaking photos. And I'm so glad I took a picture of it because for me, that's what recovery gave me is that opportunity to let go. Things here or there will keep me up at night. But when I really look at it, DBT also helped me. There's this great thing I could visualize where I'm like, well, just talk logic to my brain. Okay, those things that you're worrying about, I can't do in bed right now. I'm in pajamas. So stop worrying about it right now. And it's going to be tomorrow. But that's rare, actually, I think now, thankfully. So, yeah. Okay, 3 more.
Okay. This says, billionaires are so weird. What are you saving up for? Hell?
Hell?
Yeah, that goes back to the clip at the beginning, right? What are people going to remember you for? Certainly not your money.
And you know what's so crazy is so many people die with so much money, and then people fighting over it, whatever. It's so sad. And yeah, she's right. Why are you even having that label as a billionaire? Hello, you're going to hell. No, I'm just kidding. I'm half kidding. Okay, 2 more. Oh, can you see it?
These? Does it say these?
Yeah, these.
Okay. So it's
a picture.
It's a picture of a guy smoking a cigarette inside a car and someone else outside of the car. And it says, "These no smoking in the car when kids are in it laws are ridiculous." I mean, look at him freezing his little ass off out there. Oh, so the person's inside the vehicle smoking and put his kid outside.
Yes. It's all perception, right? Just sticking to the law. Kids
Yes.
outside freezing.
Aww.
It's sad but hilarious.
Yeah.
Hey, I would never do this. I thought about it. Let me tell you. I just don't smoke when they're in there. But, I am a smoker. I'm working on that. This is whatever. But it's hilarious because there's many times when they're driving me insane and while we're driving, they're fighting. And all I would like to do, I don't know. This is tempting. Let me tell you. The next road trip,
Yes.
You know what? All y'all get right over there in that ditch. You just wait. Okay. Last one.
Okay. Yeah, hurt people might hurt others, but fortunately, free people free others. Safe people shelter others. Enlightened people illuminate others, and love always wins. That's beautiful.
Who's that by?
Vex King.
I don't know who that is.
I don't either, but That is beautiful.
I think I picked that one because of you, Laurie. You do illuminate, and I tell you, the more and more, it doesn't matter how long you go away. It sounds like it's a long time, but it's been a couple weeks here and there, by the way. It's not a big deal, but you just come back glowing, and everyone's so happy to see you, and you're just as happy to see everybody else. And of course, you always have new pearls, Laurie. It's so great. And you're shiny like a pearl, and it's just so nice. And I just know it's just always a pleasure to have your presence. And like your presence, honestly, like almost lightens my light, if that makes sense. Like, oh, good, we're gonna be sharing some stuff today.
That is so true because it continues to grow. So you do the same for me. When you share something, it sparks something inside of me, and vice versa. Like that's good recovery. Is helping each other. It's not one-upping. It's not, oh, I hope I can say something better than she does. I mean, that never even crosses my mind. It's like, oh, Bridge said that. Oh, then this, I should, add to this or whatever. Like we compliment each other. And that's what it all should be, is we all compliment one another. And it's a beautiful, beautiful thing.
Yes. And if you're a meeting, well, it sounds like you're going to be a meeting goer. You have one of those books where it shows you like I think it's blue now, but the green book or blue book that shows you all the meetings that are supposed to be listed. I actually got one just so I could use it like a passport.
Oh,
Initial each
I
one.
need to do that.
Right? So let me know if there's some ones that you want to go to, because I would love to do that too. But I like the idea of, so you're like one of those people, especially if you start going to like regular meetings, but you're like the power share. Like, it's not that you're going to like impact me, but you're also very authentic, especially, when someone can cry in a room with you, even though they come, like, I wouldn't have expected that the first time I met you, because you just seem so well, like, not professional, but more like stronger. And I come off that way too. So like when I cry, I mean, when you cry makes me feel like I could cry. Yeah. But I feel like there's particular people when I'm getting in a room, a random meeting or whatever room with them, I'm like, okay, yes, I look forward to whatever. It sucks if anybody passes, but there's certain people and I'm like, my ears just open up more, because there's just certain people, they ramble a lot and they just seem to say the same thing every week, and I'm like, ugh. So yes, you're one of those people that illuminates the room. Okay, let's go back to the listeners. Listeners, we are wrapping things up. How are you? Oh my gosh, we're right on time. See, this is what happens when you put two organized people in the same room. It's 9:00. We're ending the show. Final thoughts. Let's see. Brett says, that's a classy puppy. Cute.
So cute.
Yes. And then, Recovery Revolution's on. What's up, people? So that's that show I went on. You got to come on.
Oh, okay.
Yes. It's been flash warning. Like, see what I wear today?
Yes.
It's video. So
okay.
You look nice.
Thanks.
You look great. I would not show that show like this. Not that it matters, but, Okay, and then Brett says, JR, ? Okay, maybe JR was supposed to say something or whatever. Oh, he's probably trying to find out who's said what's up. That looks more like a Jason thing. Okay, anyway. Okay, final thoughts, I would say, I'm going to post that link. Think about writing your eulogy. And what I would say when I was going to answer that question myself, there's a person that I set like pretty decent boundaries with. However, I recently had a dream, and that person popped very vividly in my dream. And I realized, I know she knows where I stand, and she knows why I set that boundary, because it was very toxic for us. Ooh, we'll finish it up with that. But I want you to close with that. Mm-hmm. But I feel like my higher power, the universe, my spirit guides send me messages in my dreams a lot of times. And so when I'm going to describe it, in case she's ever listening, so what happened was, I know that she works at a store, or she did. Now it's been 3 years since I've seen her. Mm-hmm. And I was walking down the aisle, and actually I think in my subconscious, I thought I saw her the other day. So I just walked past her because I'm not ready to face that yet. Mm. In my dream, same thing. I saw her working, and I was like, nope, just going to go down this aisle. Well, then in my dream, she was saying my name and coming after me. And in my dream, which I realized then was a dream, I realized I didn't have my earbuds. I'm like, so she knows that I can hear her and I'm ignoring her. So I turned around, and I was wearing my boots, so tall. She's very tall. And I stood over her because my mind was like, you need to just face this. You need to face, this fear, really, because I don't want my heart broken again. And in my dream, she same face, but she was shorter than me, but she had told me she had a terminal disease. And she didn't even say anything. And it's like in that moment when I turned around to look at her in my tall boots, I was telling her I was going to tell her off, kind of. You know, that's not really what I would do in real life. My heart melted. So that message for me was make a point to whatever. Like, okay, so already all I did was like heart a message she sent me back in June. Yikes! She responded right away. I'm like, okay. I opened that door, but I have Thrive. I have my Bad Moms group. Like, I have that support network. So it's going to be baby steps, sorry.
Yep.
But I want her to know, and I know that she knows that I love her, and I've always loved her unconditionally, but I had to set that boundary for my own recovery. Yeah. Okay, read that beautiful thing you got right there.
How we walk with the broken speaks louder than how we sit with the great.
That's my favorite. 100%. And Lori, I think you're a lot like me. We do lots of service, and nobody even knows about it. They don't need to know about it,
Nope,
right?
they do it for us.
Yes. Okay, well, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
I hope you had fun.
I did. Thank you so much.
Pretty late. It gets really hot in this room.
It does.
The heat blast is like, now I'm in the hot seat too. We got to cut it. Okay. Thanks, everybody, for listening. Next week, my co-host will be back. She comes monthly, special edition episodes. We're hitting risky relationships. I guess what next week is, we're going to be talking about rebounds. If you're a rebounder, a reboundee, or both of you just rebounded all over the place, let's talk about why that's risky. Okay. Have a good night. Have a good week, everybody. I hope you had a good holiday. And I got to find the inspirational music so we could wrap. See, this is, my head gets to be mush. I'm so wrapped in the conversation. Okay, here we go. And it's actually titled Returning Home. We're about to be returning home. Okay, good night.
Good night.